ruined castles, ancient towns, mysterious caves. Every year, archaeologists find hundreds of artifacts. To find the truth and unravel what's left to us from our ancestors, the Crew of Archaeology Mystery of History program, together with scientists, are investigating objects found on site of historic events. Watch our program and get ready for exciting discoveries.
Bektobe is the name of the settlement found in the northwest of the ancient Taraz. The Great Silk Road was passing through these places. What is hidden in the history of this ancient city? Which historical events did this city witness? The medieval city was built in the 7th century on the banks of the Asa River, about 15-16 kilometers to the west of Taraz. Today, this area belongs to the Karatobe rural area of Jambul district, Jambul region. According to scientists, the city existed until the 13th century and is identified with the medieval town known as Juvikat, which was located along the Silk Road. Many scientists were intrigued with the history of this city. Vasily Kalaur, for example, had studied the historical location in 1899. In 1938, an expedition led by Orientalist Alexander Bernstam continued the study, followed by a research group led by academician Karl Baypakov in 70s, 80s of the 20th century. First descriptions of the settlement were found in Arab correspondences. For example, Kodarbek in his traveling notes referred to this city as Juvikat. According to written sources, Taraz was 2 farsakh away from Juvikat. Farsakh is a Persian measure of length, equal to about 6 kilometers. During excavations, it was revealed that the ancient city had a tiered structure. Its upper part was a 6 meters high trapezoidal structure. The distance between northeast and southwest walls is 120 meters, and 30 meters between northwest and southeast walls. There were 4 watchtowers in the corners of the city wall. Another military unit was settled in the lower part of the city on the small territory of 40-45 square meters and height of 2.5 meters. Ancient records indicate that Bektobe was carefully protected and consisted of several forts. There was a central part, the citadel, as well as high towers. The settlement, located to the west of Taraz, was a resting point for trade caravans. Merchants from distant lands would stop here to spend the night, and this was the place of storing various goods from different parts of the world. In addition, in case of sudden attack of the enemy, Bektobe served as external garrison, defending ancient Taraz. By the way, the name Bektobe literally means castle on the hill. The remains of the fortress are preserved till this day. According to archaeologists, this fortress was built in the 7th-8th centuries by Sogdian tribe. Arab chroniclers suggest that the fortress defended the Arabs during the famous Al-Tlaq battle. In 1219, the Mongols captured Bektobe using tricky maneuver. They entered the city disguised as merchants. Residents of the city saw a caravan, didn't suspect a thing, and opened the gates, letting the enemy in. In short, ancient Taraz was surrounded by cities. Cities Bektobe, Lower Boris Khan, Tortkul, and Jikildi were situated in circular manner around Taraz. Wheat fields and gardens separated Taraz and Bektobe. This is another evidence in support of the version that cities here were densely populated and had developed forms of agriculture. Archaeological excavations were mainly carried out at two sites. In 2010, experts began to study objects that were under the Shahuristan walls to the west of Mazar-Rao. In 2011, archaeologists continued their work in the eastern part of the medieval city's Rabat.
One
of the first scientists to explore the ancient city was the famous Orientalist, Turkologist Vasily Bartold. He thoroughly studied the records of Chinese and Arab travelers, followed the route mentioned in the ancient written sources. He had specified the exact time spent on the road between the cities. Following Bartold, members of the Turkestan Archaeological Club started their research of the settlement. It was an amateur club. It should be mentioned that after Bartold, there were no publications about the history of Bektobe until 2010. Many scientists occasionally passed through this place, but no one came with purpose of researching the history of the settlement. Some scholars were mentioning the city in their writings without conducting archaeological excavations. Let us stop on the eastern part of Rabat for a minute. Archaeologists have discovered it during recent excavations. It is interesting that the foundation of Rabat occupies a large area, spreading in different directions like branches of the tree. Therefore, it must have consisted of many rooms. Fragments of pottery, earthen cauldrons that were found here suggest that this is where dwellings were located. Scientists claim that city gates have survived to these days. They were arranged so that people could enter the city from four sides. The attention of scientists was drawn by the structure of eastern gates. You couldn't enter the city right away, even when gates were open. First, you had to go to the right, then turn left, then to the right again, in a zigzag manner. This is how residents of Bektobe protected themselves from sudden attacks of the enemy, who wouldn't be able to enter the city immediately. The cavalry sure wouldn't pass through here. The historical area is also notable by its mazars. According to scientists, these were built here after the medieval city ceased to exist. After analyzing these dwellings, experts concluded that houses were built according to the same project plan. The change of the architectural style signaled the new stage of the evolution of the city.
жылғы жетісу археологиялық экспедициясы жетекшісі Александр Натанович Бержитанның
During the archaeological expedition of 1938, Bernstein described unique elements of urban culture. He had pointed out that the architectural appearance of the settlement was consistent with the lifestyle of its citizens. The influence of Bektobe citizens is perceptible in every detail of the city. It seems as if the city culture was firmly set at that distant time. Bernstein continued excavations in 1939, finding interesting artifacts such as shards of pottery and more. The top layer of the settlement remained in good condition due to the fact that they used stone as the main building material. After excavations were finished, the site was conserved. Various ceramics items stand out among other archaeological finds, some glazed, some covered in lacquer. Part of them was intended for household usage, some carried decorative purpose.
кетуіне бұл Ұлы Жібек жолының құрылығы арқылы жүрген жолдың тоқталып, теңіз арқылы.
There are assumptions that the city ceased to exist when the trade by land route of the Great Silk Road ended. There was another route through Mediterranean Sea. Therefore, numerous medieval cities which served as caravanserai and flourished as a result of active trade before went into decay. Residents of these cities that led settled, semi-settled lifestyle were forced to move to other regions.
Халықтың жалпы жартылай көшпелі, жартылай отырықшы халықтың негізгі даму көзі бұл сауда жолы болатын, керуен жолы болатын.
According to Seycan Ilyas, the researcher of the Institute of Archeology named after Alkay Margulan, the excavations were carried out on 3 sites. First of all, they made a stratigraphic incision of the defensive wall in order to find out its thickness, structure, and materials used in building the wall. The studies revealed that the fortification was built from the material covered with protective layers. The second site allegedly consisted of dwellings. Archaeologists are concerned that it would be very challenging to restore this site. It was severely damaged by heavy machinery that was used here during the Soviet times. Back then, there was a poultry farm on this location. Unfortunately, archaeologists were not able to identify the type of constructions on the third site.
There
was an intriguing finding in the course of excavating the eastern gates. This land was partly sold out before the exact location of the historical settlement was detected. Residents were in the process of settling here when they began digging ditches and accidentally dug up a whole room with the area of 6 to 6 meters. The walls were lined with burned bricks. The remains of 8 people were found here as well. Only a corner of the room is taken by burials. It is interesting that there are only 7 coffins. 2 people were buried together in one coffin. Moreover, the analysis of the shape of their skulls determined that 4 of them were males of Turkic origin and 4 females from China. Experts assume that this finding belongs to the historical period of establishment of ties between Turkic and Chinese empires. Apparently, those buried there were representatives of the aristocratic elite. According to scientists, it was an estate of someone from noble family, as indicated by a number of facts. First of all, the structure was built separately from the rest of constructions and is located on a hill. Secondly, rooms are much bigger compared to other dwellings. The artifacts found there date back to 10th, 11th centuries. The ornament decorating walls of the building belongs to the period of the Karahanid dynasty rule. Turkish and Chinese coins were found here. Yet another indication that Bektobe was an important link, a large trade center on the Great Silk Road. Archaeological excavations resulted in discovering various samples of applied arts, jewelry and ceramics workshops and coins. Directorate for Conservation and Restoration of Historical and Cultural Monuments of the Cultural Heritage and Documentation Department of the Akematov Jambul region included the continuation of archaeological excavations in the area into the 2017 year action plan. There is no doubt that the study of this historical monument will continue. Bektobe is one of the unique monuments of medieval culture of our region. That is why we included it into the list of objects that we believe are going to contribute to development of the tourism cluster. significant part of the priceless treasures of national culture seem to be completely lost in different historical periods, but have been found and recovered after the acquisition of independence. One of these unique monuments is Bektobe settlement. It is part of a rich heritage, and unraveling its secrets could help us learn more about the life of our ancestors. Only then we will be able to nurture a worthy generation that will be proud of the glorious past of their people. Without the past, there might be no future.